Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being here. We just thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about the federal response to the state of emergency that's been called in the Northeast Avalon, particularly in the cities of St. John's and Mount Pearl and the town of Paradise. There is progress, and once again, I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank the incredible volunteers and the incredible first responders who are on the ground, who are doing yeoman's work right now. We have some in the hospitals who have been working over 40 hours, and we are so thankful to what they've been doing. It's times like this, of course, we're also reminded that Newfoundland is very much an island, and at times like this, it makes it even more challenging to make sure that we get the resources in place that we need to get there. And without further ado, now I'll bring you Minister Blair.
Thanks very much, Seamus. Good morning, everyone. Also want to take the opportunity to commend the extraordinary effort and the work that's going on for the people of Newfoundland. The response has, among their volunteers and with our provincial and municipal partners there, has been really quite extraordinary. When it became apparent the impact that this particular weather event was going to have on that province and in those communities, we were out very quickly, and there has been very close collaboration and cooperation between ourselves and the Premier's office. We just got off the phone a few minutes ago with Premier Ball, and we're making sure that there is good close coordination to make sure that we give them and get the resources that they need and that they require. And so we've been working very, very hard on that. We have received yesterday a request for assistance from the province of Newfoundland. Even before we received that, we had been working to begin to mobilize those resources. And I'd like to take the opportunity to ask my friend and colleague, Mr. Sajjan, to tell you about some of the resources that we are able to bring into that particular environment to provide some assistance.
Yep. Thanks, Bill. And I just want to also take this opportunity to give thanks to all the volunteers who are working very hard at this during this difficult time. As Minister Blair also stated before, even we got the request for assistance. We're already leaning forward to making sure that we have the right support ready. So what we've done so far is moved in very quickly a Cormorant helicopters with search and rescue personnel actually yesterday to making sure that we have additional support when it comes to supporting patients in hospitals or however they could actually assist. We had a recce party that left very quickly, and what you'll see is probably by the end of today, you'll have about 150 to 200 personnel on the ground ready to provide support. This could surge up to anywhere between 250 to 300 by tomorrow and the coming days. But keep in mind, a lot of the work that they will be doing is actually in close coordination with the experts at the Emergency Preparedness Center to making sure that these extra resources from the military are utilized properly, especially for the people who need it most. We also have two Hercules aircraft already ready providing support, and we moved in I think one or possibly two Griffin helicopters to provide support as well, and they'll continue to provide that support as long as that they're needed. As we've always stated, we'll be quick to arrive and making sure that that the vulnerable will be protected and the right support is going to be provided. Thank you.
Can you tell us what kind of things you actually expect the help to be doing?
Yeah, you know, I appreciate the question. I know that, but what I've always said is this is where we want to leave the exact task to the experts. The military is there to actually provide the support, but the decisions of where they need to go will be done in close coordination with the experts who actually know the communities and areas where the support is going to be needed. That also, I do want to emphasize that our reserves play a very important role when it comes to when we launch Operation Lentis. So reserves have been activated who know the community very well. In fact, actually, they're currently moving into the appropriate areas to provide that right support. So our troops will be on the ground. And also we want to leave it a lot of to what needs to be done to them. And from my own experience, regrettably, we've had to deploy the military on a number of occasions across Canada. And every single time that I have visited, they've always surprised me at the uniqueness and creativity, how they've been able to work together with firefighters, with the emergency personnel for ambulance, and to be able to making sure that the support is provided. So this will be needs driven on the ground, and the decisions will be made by the right experts.
Minister, do you have a sense of how many of the people you're deploying or the reservists you're activated are certified to do things like heavy equipment operation? Because one of the things is crew exhaustion in terms of snow removal and snow clearing. So do you have an inventory of exactly, I mean, undoubtedly they'll be useful, but for this specific sort of task, who can drive the trucks and the loaders and the blowers that they need help with?
Well, first of all, again, the exact tasks that will be done in close coordination. And when it comes to those type of skill sets that a reservist provide, that's the one unique thing that a reservist already have. They already have that knowledge base in the community. They already have, they know what type of professions that they come from. So these decisions will be made on the ground by the leadership, and I trust in their creativity to making sure that those skills will be utilized.
Robert, you need certifications and licensing to drive this equipment. Do you have a sense of how many, like the 300 people you can have there by tomorrow, of that 300, are people trained and ready to do this specific kind of
Well, first of all, I don't even want to indicate exactly what they will be doing. These decisions, again, will be based on the ground.
I guess
When
what are they capable of doing? Like, you know, like, do they have the training to do this type of work if asked?
I think before we jump into that is our military personnel, whether it's going to be when it comes to floods, fires, or in a situation like this, they have the ability to get a very good understanding of what is going on and to provide the appropriate support. So for me to be able to talk about in terms of what qualification each individual has, I leave that to the various decisions and the communication that's going to happen. So that when it comes to the 150, 200 personnel that are going to be moving on the ground, they'll be able to come up with what is actually needed, and the decisions that will be made will be based on what type of skills are going to be needed for the most vulnerable, where the provincial assets are not able to provide that support.
I can give an update on the hospital. I could give an update on an issue that we were discussing yesterday, and it was the clear priority of the Premier and of the Mayor, and that was access to the hospitals, because we had dialysis patients who were needed treatment and chemo patients. And so now we do have access through main arteries to those hospitals, to the Health Sciences Complex and to St. Clair's. Secondary roads remain a challenge, and so do some rural roads. So we're working on that, but it was a big priority yesterday, getting access to the hospital, and we have now managed to do that.
Minister, can you clarify, investigators, reservists and active members of the military, or just reservists?
No, it'll be reserves and active duty. So we always have a units on standby to respond to situations like this. So troops will be moved in from various areas. I believe it's going to be Fredericton, but I'll leave those type of decisions are made by the commanders on the ground. So for any type of support, we have units that are on standby, but the reserves who actually live in the community, who have the knowledge base in the community, have also been activated, and in fact, actually currently moving into position now.
Two more questions here. Investigators who left Tehran this morning, can you give an update on what's next for them and how many Canadian officials are still in Iran?
One thing I can tell you, we're focused on making sure that the families on the ground get the appropriate support. We're actively working to making sure that we have the Iranians have those black boxes moved to either Ukraine or France, so that an appropriate investigation can occur. So a lot of work is actually happening on this, and we want to make sure that the families get the appropriate support. I'm sure there'll be more of an update of what type of work that needs to be done. But one thing I can assure you is we're working very hard to making sure that that the investigation that is going to be conducted is going to be credible and independent, with the appropriate expert advice from us.
Is there an amount of federal funding that's been earmarked for the response in Newfoundland, or a cap that's emerged?
I'll let Minister Bill talk about the overall funding, but when it comes to the military, we will not be doing cost recovery.
Yes. And just to be very clear, when we receive a request for assistance from the province under these types of circumstances, there is no cost recovery. We just go and provide as much help and support as we can. I've also had some discussion with the Premier because this is a potentially expensive cleanup, and it's going to take some time, and so we'll be having further discussions on cost-sharing agreements that may be necessary to put in place. There's also a number of, excuse me, important partners, the Red Cross, just for an example. And so we're also looking at how we can continue to support those services and agencies that are also providing support to the people of Newfoundland.
Do we have a
Last
time?
one here, last
Do we know
one.
until when those people could stay there, the Army and how long can they stay there for the work? How long will it take to clean up, and how long can the reserves and the Army people can stay there?
It all depends on the type of work that needs to be done, and also at the same time making sure that the emergency is over. For any type of incident, whether it's been floods, fires, that's what we've always demonstrated, that we will be there until we're not, and that we will do a phased move out, but we will make sure that the support that the community needs is going to be given, and we will not move out until that is done.
Have there been any challenges thus far getting people in place?
I think, given the significant snowfall, it obviously does pose a challenge for moving people in. As you know, flights have been delayed, so that has an impact on our aviation abilities as well. But those are the things that our personnel will be working through. And even at the end of the day, regardless of those challenges, our military will figure out the various solutions and work very hard and work with all the emergency preparedness folks, whether it's fire, police, and ambulance on the ground, and also all the volunteers as well. And I'll be remiss if I don't mention the Red Cross, who plays a very important role at times like this. I don't actually have a number exact right now. I know that there's a platoon currently already that we're currently training and already moving in to provide that support. There's probably going to be a response up to a company size, but that'll be depending on the reserve units. And as time goes on, we'll be able to determine what those numbers are and update you accordingly.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
Okay.
How many aircraft and what are they doing?
We had a second cormorant brought in yesterday, 2 Hercules currently providing support, and I know 1 Griffin helicopters and possibly more that'll provide support. But we'll adjust things as the situation changes. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. That's it.
If I could just ask very quickly, now that we know that Prince Harry and Meghan are giving up their royal titles, should they come and won't be doing any official royal duties anymore, should they come then to Canada for part-time, what responsibility do we have under those circumstances to provide security? As
we do in every case, if individuals require security, that's all determined by a very thorough assessment by our officials to determine what's necessary and what the costs might therefore be. But again, that determination has not yet been made.
Is that something that Canadian taxpayers, do you think, should be bearing the cost of, or should this be somewhere where
and again, I'm not going to sort of speculate on that. No assessment has yet been done as to what actually may be or may not be required, and so until that work is done, those decisions remain to be made.
Will we still consider them internationally protected people?